Hey, what's up? Welcome back to another easy, affordable crock pot recipe idea video. Gosh, if I said that 10 times fast, I wouldn't be able to. Anyways, it's a super lazy Sunday here and I need to get something started for lunch. Don't mind the mess behind me if you can see a mess, because I have been cleaning up after making Christmas cookies last night, and I'm probably, if we're being honest, going to bake later today. It's been such a lazy Sunday, which I absolutely love. I worked out quickly this morning, showered, and put on more workout clothes just to be comfy. And it's actually raining here, so I thought it was the perfect day to get my crock pot out and make a really delicious soup. So today we're having tomato soup for lunch, and I'm probably gonna add to this video as the week goes on because it's going to be like in the 50s and a little bit like dreary this week. So that perfect week to break out my crock pot. Here are the basic ingredients for the tomato soup. I have 2 carrots, a very small onion. I mean, this is like not very much at all, but I don't want a lot of onion bite to this recipe. A can of crushed tomatoes, a can of tomato sauce. This one just happens to be the no salt added, and then a can of beans. And you either can put this all together as is and use your immersion blender. I don't have one, so I'm going to use my high-speed blender, my Vitamix, and put this all together. It's completely up to you. The first thing I'm gonna do is get my onion and carrots chopped, peeled, ready to go. And I say this all the time, but I save my scraps and I put them in the freezer, and then I make veggie broth. The veggie broth recipe is always in the description box. And I also get asked what kind of peeler that I have. It's from the dollar store, and I bought this like 5 years ago, and because I get asked a lot about like how I peel back and forth on the carrot. You should be able to do this with any peeler on a carrot. Because it's so long, you should be able to peel back and forth, and it should work really well. You don't have to peel your carrots if you don't want to. I usually scrub them as soon as I get home from the grocery store. It's part of my prep, and then I put the peels in with my freezer prep bag for veggie broth. So super simple. So the onion is going directly into my Vitamix, but like I said, if you want and you have an immersion blender, you could skip this step and then just like pulse it to blend it and puree it at the end when your soup is done cooking. Coming at you with some voiceover action. If you can tell me where that is from, we can be best friends. So I do like to add either veggie broth or water to this soup. It is technically a high protein tomato soup, if you are like me and count beans as your protein. Whoop whoop. So I just usually do water because it's just simple. It's easy, but you can definitely do veggie broth too. So I do about 3/4 of the large can of tomatoes and the full can of the small tomatoes. So technically it's about 2.5 cups of soup, or soup. No, it's 2.5 cups of water. Anyways, I rinse my beans. My husband likes them better rinsed. If the beans give you a tummy issue, rinse them really well till all the bubbles are gone, and you should be good to go. And then obviously you're pureeing them, so it'll help digest them more. We're adding some salt, a bunch of basil. I'm not even measuring it. And then some garlic. Whip it up so it's nice and smooth. You can leave out the carrots. Oh, I did add chili powder and cayenne too. I forgot about those two. Give a little kick. So it had a little bit of heat. If you don't want to add the carrots, don't worry about it. My husband picks them out. I love the carrots because it adds like a little bit more texture to the soup, and that's why I leave them really chunky. You can cook the carrots. You can throw a can of carrots, like cooked carrots, in with this. You can do whatever the heck you want. Green peppers would be really good in this too. It doesn't matter. But you're going to want to stay tuned till the end of the video because I have a little bit of a surprise for you. So go ahead, put this on high for 2 hours. It's perfect. It's so creamy. It's so delicious. It's a great like cold weather soup. You can also just make this on your stovetop too. So here's the soup when it's all finished, and I had some, it's just called shkar. This bread is really good. I actually really like it. I've had mixed reviews when I shared it on my grocery haul a couple weeks back. I really liked it. Thought it was really good. Toasted, not toasted, didn't really matter to me. And then this day I picked up this loaf of bread and my husband ate the entire thing with his soup. So, but like I said, stay tuned. I have a surprise for you here in a minute. Hey, so it's another day and I need to make dinner. And so I'm gonna use my crock pot because why not? I'm making a crock pot video. So one thing about the crock pot is, as a plant-based eater, it's not as convenient because you can't like set it in the morning, let it cook all day, come home to a dinner. But if you can get a crock pot that has like the timer setting on it, I can link one down below. I just purchased one. It can be a huge help to you if you're someone who leaves for work in the morning, wants dinner when you come home hot, fresh, and ready. So tonight's recipe is actually gonna take 2 hours in the crock pot. The reason I like using the crock pot personally is because I can just like set everything in there and forget about it. Unlike a stove top meal, like a one-pan meal, I still have to kind of babysit it a little bit. With the crock pot, I don't have to. The only other addition to today's recipe is about 30 minutes left. Yeah, I would say about 30 minutes. I need to put some pasta in, but again, I don't really have to babysit it. I just have to throw the pasta in. But if you can get a crock pot with a preset timer, so you can set it to go off at like 4 p.m. on high for 2 hours or whatever, that can be a really big help. Anyways, you don't have to have a crock pot either to make these meals. You can just make them on the stovetop, one pan meal. So they are convenient in every which way. I don't think I told you yet what we're making tonight. So this is like a comfort food meal that we started making when we were on our debt-free journey. My husband doesn't love carrots like in the first recipe, but he will tolerate them because I love carrots. So I do 5 stalks of celery, 5-6 carrots. I mean, that's just a general measurement that I like to stick by. About a medium-sized onion, a can of garbanzo beans. I drain and rinse these, and then veggie stock. This is about 4 cups. I'm gonna need some more, so I'm gonna have to go into the veggie stock I got from the Dollar Tree because this is all I have left, and I'm not gonna make another one of those right now for this recipe. But it's like a mock chicken noodle soup, and it's so comforting. You add some spices to it, and then when it's got like 30 minutes left in the crock pot, you add your noodles, any kind of noodles you like. Or if you do this in a pot, you just cook down your carrots, your celery, and your onion, add your beans, your stock, and then cook that all together, like saute these for like 10 minutes and then cook the noodles for like 7 minutes. So it's actually a lot faster, but I have a lot of things I need to get done. I don't want to babysit a meal, and then I can share a crock pot meal with you guys. So let's cut up our vegetables. I personally love celery so much. I actually worked at a wing joint, think Hooters, but not quite, but like Hooters, but we didn't dress like that. And fun fact, that was all through college, and literally the only thing I ate there was usually a salad, and I wasn't even a chicken person back then, but like, give me the celery in the heart. The white part of the celery is my favorite. So let me know, are you a celery person, or would you like leave this out of every single recipe? Another bag of veggie stock ready to go in the freezer. You can put a little bit more in there, but this could definitely make some really delicious broth right now because there's a lot of different interesting mixes. Ooh, I gotta put the other onion in here. Okay, so I put 8 cups of liquid in here, 4 broth and 4 water, and I'm going to use this, which I actually picked up at the Dollar Tree for situations just like this. It's 30 servings for $1.25 and it's a powder and it's not that bad. Because this has salt in it, I'm actually not going to salt anything else in here because the last thing you want is a super salty soup. So, you're supposed to do 1 teaspoon to 1 cup of broth, and I'm just gonna do 2. Adding turmeric for color, thyme because I don't think any chicken noodle soup comes without thyme. Maybe it does, maybe I'm thinking of the wrong seasoning, and garlic. I'm gonna put a lid on this and cook it for 2 hours on high, and then at the 2-hour mark, I will come downstairs and see how the carrots are. They should be perfect, and then I will put noodles in there the last 30 minutes. As I'm heading downstairs, I do want to quickly add, if you don't have a crock pot, you can still make this bread recipe. I will link 2 videos down in the description box. I have them there all the time, along with my veggie broth that you can make oven bread if you want to. I have a complete gluten-free list and then a non-gluten-free list, just depending on what works best for you. And I'm also currently working on another bread recipe video that's going to have all of my favorite breads in it. So gluten-free, non-gluten-free. I eat gluten-free, my husband doesn't, so anyways. But I'm gonna work on every type of bread that we personally love and get them in one video for you guys. So look for that very soon, probably in January, because it's gonna take me a while. I don't really wanna bake bread all weekend. I mean, I guess I could, but it's easier if we can get through it at a pace that works best for us. So I'll just kind of gather those recipes over time and put them all in a video for you. Anyone else obsessed with baking bread, or is that just me? Okay, so this is the same recipe that I use. 3 ingredients: yeast, a little bit of salt, a little bit of flour. Same ingredients, but I do have a little extra water for this, and it worked out perfectly. It was a little bit sticky, so you'll see as I'm going through and mixing my bread, I had a little bit more flour. But here is what I want to tell you. Take the recipe that is linked down below in my blog, along with the first 2 recipes from today's video. Take it with a grain of salt. A lot of times with bread, it's more visual than it is anything else. It's more visual by seeing that it's more sticky or it's too dry, so adding a little bit more flour, a little bit more water. And I like to tell people that because when it comes to bread making, a lot of people are intimidated, but it's basically foolproof. If you honestly have too sticky of a loaf, it's just going to take longer to bake. And if you have too dry of a loaf, cool, you're going to turn it into croutons. But really, it's just kind of realizing that your environment plays a huge factor. Like in the summertime, I can make this exact same loaf of bread and it's going to be way drier if I follow the ingredients to a T versus if I make it in the wintertime, because it's less dry. And it goes the same with humidity and whether you are up high or down low, whether what state you live in or what country you live in. So I like to remind people bread baking is really a visual art and just kind of learning what the bread is supposed to look like. So follow the recipe down below with a grain of salt. Make sure your bread looks semi-close to mine. If it doesn't, add a little bit more flour. If it's a little bit dry, add a little bit more water. It's going to be perfect no matter what. She is ready to go. So the dough is going to be nice and sticky, but after a little bit, it's going to kind of pop back up. I'm going to put this in the crock pot. I'll show you how I have everything set up. So I've done crockpot bread before, and this is the method I have really learned to like. 2 pieces of parchment paper. I'll put my dough right here, and then I'll put a piece of paper towel over the top to catch the liquid that happens from the lid. You know how the condensation of the lid, so it catches that. So let's get this into my crocky potty, and let's go. I'm also going to share with you guys real life versus Instagram, YouTube life here in a second. You're gonna laugh. Okay, so my bread is so sticky, but we like a sticky bread because it's moist. And I'm not gonna knead it or pat it out or anything. I'm just gonna take this and stick it right on my parchment paper. Right in the middle. Okay, so pop the lid on. I didn't know this at first, but this is to carry it so you don't have to put those down. But I see people do it on Instagram all the time. So, and people in my comments say that they do because they think it keeps it hotter or heats faster. Do whatever you want. I'm leaving the clips off. All right, we're gonna do high for 5 hours. But okay, here's YouTube life. This is how beautiful it looks, right? Oh, it's on my counter, how nice. Let me show you real life. This is real life. Now you're probably thinking, why are you doing that? Well, I have quartz countertops and this gets mega hot, like so hot. And we had an issue when we had a get together and I was really worried about my countertops because if you don't have quartz, they cannot be heated. They are the most sustainable fabric when it comes to like getting chipped, but you have to be careful what chemical you put on them when you clean them, and you have to be careful about heat because they will crack. Don't believe me? Get on TikTok and watch all the cracked countertops that happen because of air fryers. And this baby gets so hot that I don't trust it, even though it says if you put a cutting board down it will. I don't trust it. So I set up here like I'm so wonky, but I did this, I shared this with you to make you all laugh. Moment of truth. Spoiler alert, I already know what's below this lid. So, if you're wondering what we're having for dinner tonight, it's leftovers, and I made the bread for my husband because I do eat gluten-free, but I find the gluten-free bread doesn't turn out as well in here, so let's get this out. Rockin' and rollin'. I already checked it. It's looking awesome. This makes my kitchen smell amazing.
I got this boy on my mind that I can't live without. Oh, his eyes are killing me.
Okay, let's check out this bread. One, it's incredibly hot. It's been cooling for about 30 minutes because I read that was like the best thing. And it's like got a nice crunchy crust, so I'm excited to cut into it.
And my heart's beating fast when it's looking like that. Oh, his smile is killing me. It's the way that it moves and the way that it laughs, so I can't get enough. Think about him all the time. I can get him off my mind. Oh, I want him to.
It's perfect. It is. I'm so impressed. We've made bread in the crock pot before, but not like this. So it is cooked perfectly. It was about 4.5 hours on high, and then I turned it off and let it sit for about 30 minutes. So it was still kind of cooking because obviously the crock pot just doesn't cool down automatically. And then I'm gonna slice them up for my husband. He'll probably eat about half the loaf. The other half he'll probably just take to work tomorrow, or he'll eat for dinner tomorrow night. But it smells so good. Maybe add some garlic butter to the top. And then the best way to store this is I just usually store it in an airtight container or in a paper bag. It's completely up to you. I think it's best when it's toasted, but do it whatever you like. But it looks beautiful. Super impressed. No oven, no watch time. You can make this while you're at work. Come home, have a beautiful loaf of bread waiting for you. Obviously, it leaves much to be desired beautiful wise up here, but from here, it looks beautiful. I, of course, am super glad you clicked on today's video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe. I love to share low budget meal ideas that work for me and my husband to hopefully give you some inspiration in your own kitchen. I will see you soon in another video. Bye-bye.